Hello and welcome back to Glass Cannon, and we are just about to launch an attack against one of the Sturgian's fiefs, because here's the thing, the wonderful denizens of Barebones Topia, they decided that it would be a good idea to declare war against the Sturgians, and for good reason, of course, because the Sturgians are very, very weakened at the moment. They only have around 4,000 combat strength, and you may think, well, I say only 4,000. Well, if you take a look here at the diplomacy screen, we actually have almost 9,000. I wouldn't have expected that, but perhaps I should have. Anyway, as you can see, they have a pretty decent amount of clans still active, and the amount of towns and castles they have is, well, very diminutive at the moment. They only have 6 towns, which should make eliminating them, yeah, I'm not going to say very easy, but I'm going to say quite easy, maybe. We'll see. Anyway, I was actually attempting to take Uthelaim Castle, as you can see right here, but unfortunately, these fellows decided to intercept me. So I'm basically just going to put out my trebuchets, and we're just going to launch the assault. Someone actually mentioned in the comments that I should try out using catapults before going into the siege, because apparently catapults are very effective against the enemy defenders, and that actually makes a great deal of sense to me, and I would love to be able to try it out. And I was actually going to try it out in this particular siege, but unfortunately, as you no doubt tell, that large army of over 1,000 combat strength is breathing down our necks, and it is kind of impossible for me to build those catapults before they engage us. So that's basically the only reason why I didn't get to do that this time around. Unfortunately, would love to be able to try it out, so maybe in the future in one of the future sieges that we're going to do, because there are 3 castles very nearby to Britannian territory, or technically to Barebones Topia territory, that I would very much like to capture. And I've already scouted them, and they have a very, very minimal garrison presence. And most of the time, it's going to be pretty easy. Okay, so hang on a second. What's actually going on here? Why are we losing so many units? Is it because I've basically placed them into the worst possible positions in the world? Yeah, that could possibly be the case. Let's spread all our archers out. Let's spread these guys out as well, and spread them out too. There we go. And, oh yes, thank you to those of you that told me about the whole follow mechanics, because here's the thing. I obviously knew that follow was in Warband, you know, and I have not used the follow command, I don't think, very much in Bannerlord at all, and it has kind of dulled my, well, senses, I suppose, when it comes to using the follow command. So apparently it is F1 and then F2. And look at that. There it is. What? Why didn't I think of that? I have no idea. I am an absolute imbecile. But whatever the case, thank you very much to those of you that told me about it. And hopefully I'm going to be able to make good use of it in the future. We are definitely going to need it in the future, that's for sure. Because no doubt we're going to be in one of those situations yet again where my forces are being, well, shall we say, somewhat stagnant, somewhat passive, and it's going to be very difficult to get them to where I need them to be. They're going to make some rather silly decisions sometimes as well. And the follow command will hopefully prevent them from making any more silly mistakes. But obviously that is a big, big if. Nice headshot. Very good. And we have now taken... Oh, wow. Our battering ram has not been destroyed at all. This is actually hilarious. Not entirely sure how that happened, but apparently it did. They're not really doing too much here. Oh, wow. Yeah. You know the realistic battle AI? You know how they were being really, really bad when I was on that siege tower? But now, look at them. As soon as I aim at them with my bow, they raise their shields up. Apart from that guy, because he was actually attempting to use his thrown weapon. But, yeah, that's a pretty significant reaction time right there. They were able to raise their shields up super, super quickly and prevent me from doing any damage whatsoever, which is obviously intentional. They want to do that. They want to prevent me from dealing damage to them, of course. Anyway, I've got to be a little bit careful here. Really don't want to be in a situation where we are outnumbered dramatically. Okay, now this is bad. Nice. His posture has gone. Yeah, there we go. Technically, it's stamina, I suppose, but they call it posture in the mod, so... Yeah, well, whatever the case, I think I should probably tell everyone to charge in, shouldn't I? Yes, I think I should. And it kind of makes me think to myself, maybe I should get some more of those noble units, because look at these guys. These are Berserker nobles that I believe I rescued from somewhere or another. I think they were in a dungeon in one of the towns that we just took, or maybe in prisoner's hold of some vassal or another, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know where I got them, but yeah, they are absolute beasts, as you can quite clearly tell. They literally do so much damage. Unfortunately, because I do not have the HP per level mod installed, they obviously do not have a massive amount of survivability, but that obviously would defeat the whole purpose of the Glass Cannon series, and that's the reason why I don't have it enabled at the moment. Because personally, I really like that mod. I think it adds a lot more survivability to every single unit in the game, and it kind of makes sense in a sort of RPG fashion that higher level characters would have more HP, because at the moment, as it is right now, unless you take the certain perks that increase your HP by a very small amount, most units, if not all, are going to have almost exactly the same amount of maximum HP, which I think is a little bit... I don't know. From a realistic perspective, I definitely think that is something that should be the way it is. But from an RPG perspective, I disagree, and I don't think it should be that way. So it's obviously optional whether you want to use that mod or not, but I personally really very much like it, because personally I love the RPG aspect much more in Bannerlord than the realism aspect. Realism is all very well and good, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people enjoy the realism aspect, but I love, you know, looking through skills, looking through perks, looking through attributes and things, and basically going, oh yeah, I really want to get that skill, or I want to get that perk because I think it's super fun. You know, those are the kinds of situations that I like to get myself in, rather than, oh, I have a I don't know, to you know, refer to a realism quote unquote system from the past. I have a stamina system, you know, for example, in Brittenwalder. Obviously, this is not so much stamina, the posture system. It kind of works a bit like stamina, but it's a little bit different in that case, because in Brittenwalder, stamina would be very, very slow to restore itself, and whenever you didn't have stamina, you'd basically fall over randomly. And it would be very difficult to fight with it enabled. But obviously that's all in the name of realism, you know. And some people, it was a bit of a mixed bag, really, because some people were very much enjoying that system, but I think they were mostly in the minority, because generally it was just more of an annoying sort of system more than anything. And obviously that's not to say that the modding creators of Brittenwalder did a bad job with the stamina system or whatever, because here's the thing. They provided you with an option to disable it, and you could disable it if you wanted to, which is absolutely fantastic, because that means they respected player choice. They weren't just saying, oh yeah, this is the way you should play it. No, they weren't doing that. They were actually respecting player choice, and I love that about the modding community. They always do that, and that's exactly the reason why in Bannerlord, more specifically here, because obviously I was talking about Warband, in Bannerlord, you can just disable these mods if you don't want to use them, and that's fantastic. Obviously, do be a little bit careful about mods that actually change or add units to your game. Like, for example, my bear units right now, if you... I don't think I can uninstall my little warband without it causing crashes, because I have so many bear units in my armies and things like that. I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me on this, but I think that it's more difficult to uninstall it when you've already started a game. Because obviously if you uninstall it and then you start up the game, it just doesn't really, you know, it's not going to have the files or whatever to be able to read, oh, this is the, you know, this is the unit that you created this time ago, and so on and so forth, you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, we have the ability to now pick the strong attribute, which gives me, well, shall we say the strong perk, which gives me my final point in vigor, which is fantastic. And we also have foot troops in our party give 5% party speed, which is actually super nice too. Anyway, let's have a look here. Decrease barter penalty for items by 50%. I think I'll probably take that. Yep. Yes, indeed. Alright. So, yeah, apart from that, we're doing pretty well in terms of our statistics. I think the next level ups that I'm going to make will basically only be putting attribute points into cunning, and I'll probably put some more points into, I don't know, maybe scouting. I mean, we already have a very high level scout at the moment, so scouting is basically pointless. Maybe roguery skill, because roguery does increase my battle loot, which could be kind of useful as time goes on, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Okay, Kranarok Castle. That's actually not what I wanted to take. I actually wanted to take Nevyansk and Flintolg. Aradwir is being assaulted by these two vassals. What is actually going on with Aradwir right now? He seems a little bit weird. It seems a little bit strange, because he is in an army that is vastly more powerful than these two vassals, but apparently he was chased off from besieging Flintolg by the two of them, which is real weird. I don't know what's going on with that, and I find it very frustrating when these enemies actually run into the castles, but obviously that's, you know, survival instinct and so on, so it kind of makes sense for them to do that. Anyway, let's go into a nice little loose formation here, and it's a somewhat nighttime battle, but hopefully you're going to be able to see because it is in a snow-like environment. And we also have a massive amount of fire arrows. Look at our fire arrows just streaming towards the opponent. Oh yeah, that's what I like to see. That is literally one of the best visual upgrade mods that I have seen, and that's actually crazy. Look at that. Look at how fun. That is just so fun. That is really, really fun. I'm being very, very accurate right now. Can you tell? My accuracy is absolutely in the, well, in the dumps. It's just literally not doing much at all, is it? Oh, it's almost like a machine gun. Like, literally, so many of my archers firing at the same time. It's almost like a barrage of a hail of bullets, should I say. It's almost like that. I really like the fact that the arrows actually still stay lit when they are embedded in the ground, and they actually form a bit of a light source as well. That's super cool in my opinion. That is such an atmospheric, sort of immersive, I don't know, immersive feature for you to see right there. Anyway, there you go. That was a very easy victory, as you can see, by our absolute zero casualties. And we're going to be letting her go once again. Generally, I'm going to be letting most people go as much as I possibly can for various reasons. This guy is staying in Flintolg. Are you going to... Could you just leave? Could you just leave, sir? Why are you chasing me? This is exactly what I'm talking about. The AI is super weird at times, because I think to myself, he's literally chasing me, but now he's going to run away and get into Flintolg. No? Okay, he has a very few brain cells, let's just say that, yes. And that sentence made no sense whatsoever, because I have also, apparently, a very few brain cells. Indeed, indeed. Anyway, let me see what I can do here. hopefully speak with a little bit more, should we say, legibility or whatever, I don't know. I'm done. After that, I just, you know, passed out from, you know, shock or something. Anyway, they have very few, yeah, they have very few units. I don't even know whether I should even bother just standing there. I should probably just tell my archers just to charge in and then just speed things up real fast to get this out of the way, because we really want to go on to Flintolg Castle. Or, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, look at that. That was an easy victory. Super fast. But yeah, I don't know whether we're actually going to be taking Flintolg Castle ourselves, because there is a very large army, or actually two very large armies really close by. And I don't think I really need to contribute that much, as you can see right there. Oh, hello. Okay, so we have Aeron's army. He's besieging Varcheg, and Aradwir is coming back to besiege Flintolg. And you have two armies here. Well, should we say, well, we have two of our armies, and we have one army of the opponent. and the opponent is wanting to engage Aaron. Well, that's a bit of a weird decision to make. I wouldn't do... Okay, you're dead. Whoever you are, Apollania, you are dead. There's nothing you can do against Mr. Aaron here. Look at his combat strength. It's actually crazy. It really is. It's mighty impressive. I'm actually kind of unsure how he gained so much combat strength, but maybe he's using some bear units. Who knows? This is a... What? What is this? What is this battlefield right now? Okay. This is kind of interesting. I have never seen anything so straightforward in my life. I mean, really. I guess I have, obviously, but you know, because I've been playing these games for many years now, and I'm sure there has been a very simple battlefield, but this simple? It's literally just a flat piece of land covered with some snow. I mean, literally. No offense, but no, you know what? I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Okay, yeah, so let me see here. Let me see if I can... I actually don't even know what to do right now because it's so simple. You know what? Let's do this. There we go. Okay, that's a little better, right? Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. And I don't even know what to do with these guys, to be honest. Should I just tell them to charge in? Should I tell them to hold back? Maybe tell them to hold back and then charge in when the enemy is upon us? Probably something along those lines, because we really don't want them to get shot in the face for nothing, right? So, let's see what happens here. Kind of wish I was doing this at nighttime for the fire arrows, you know, splendid views and things like that. The spectacle, shall we say? That's the word I'm looking for. Spectacle. There we are. Anyway, let me see if I can maybe get a couple of kills with my wonderful ranged accuracy. Because let's face it, I am probably the quintessential sharpshooter. I'm joking. If you didn't pick that up. Okay, yeah. Because obviously I am quite clearly not a sharpshooter at this point. Actually, not too bad. I feel like, generally, I do hit, but the enemy just has really good shields. So, obviously, that makes a big difference. Oh, the enemy's facing their backs. Oh my, that was an extremely unfortunate situation for them to get themselves in at that exact moment. Because I don't know whether you noticed that, whether you could see it from that far away, but if you didn't see it, basically what happened was the morale of the enemy just dipped low enough at that exact moment when they were just about to enter melee range with our archers. And you know what they decided to do then? Run away! And you know what running away entails? Yes, for the AI it entails turning their backs to the archers, and then the slaughter ensued. And that was literally all she wrote, pretty much. So yeah, that is exactly what happened. That was a really bad, I guess really bad timing on their part, rather than anything else. Because I personally don't think they, I mean obviously they didn't intend to do that, because generally if there is low morale on your army's side, you can't really do much about that, you know. If your troops have low morale, they're going to run away whether you want them to or not. You know, it's kind of a done deal in that case. But yeah, look at this. Look at these guys. They are facing their backs to our archers. Yeah, they are basically done. They are basically done. There really isn't much more they can do. I'm gonna move my archers soon enough, but not just yet. I'm actually wanting to try the arrow deflection thing. Someone actually reminded me that I have the arrow deflection perk, and I've never used this before. I have literally never used this before. I wonder, does it work like you're blocking? Does it work like you're blocking, or does it work like you have to be very good with timing or something like that? I actually have no clue. But usually when I'm using a two-handed, I think of myself as not having a shield. And obviously, in many cases, that is indeed, it is indeed how it is. But if you have that arrow deflection perk, you might very well be able to avoid some damage. Let me see. I'm just going to hold down the button here, and maybe it's going to be good. I don't know, because as far as I'm aware, the flavor text or the descriptive text in the arrow deflection perk states that you have to have good timing or something along those lines. You have to time it just right. At least that's what I can remember it is. But maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm not entirely sure. But it seems like the enemy is actually not even attempting to shoot at me right now. So I should probably just get out my own bow. What a classic. It seems like the enemy is not attempting to shoot at me right now, he says as he gets himself shot in the shoulder. What a fantastic turn of events. Anyway, I'm actually going to tell my forces to charge in here. I mean, why wouldn't I? Well, I managed to hit one unit. You didn't see that. Oh, what a classic. That is a classic bear-tailed move right there. Doesn't matter who it is. It's just a classic bear-tailed move. It is my legacy that I impart to everyone in the Mountain Blade community. Yes, indeed. Because my legacy of shooting someone in the head that is actually a pretty important unit just before the battle ends. Oh yes, what a what a fantastic turn of events. Oh yes, how wonderful. Anyway, we were able to, well, yeah, I mean technically it wasn't me that won that, but it was Aeron's army, I suppose, right? It was his army or my tactics, or just generally because that battlefield was absolutely brutal for the opponent. I'm not entirely sure how anyone is supposed to beat an army that has primarily archers in it on what is quite quintessentially a killing field. That's literally what it is at that point. Because these enemies, they are not even able to get close. That is basically dead. You know, you're just completely blown out of the water right there. So I have no idea how they would attempt to even advance at that point. Anyway, I'm going to go back to Sionen real fast because I do have some prisoners to offload, and I'm very much hoping that... Where is... Oh, there they are. Okay, yeah. So they're actually going to be besieging some other stuff, potentially. Aeron is also traveling to Sionen. That is actually rather amusing. I wonder why he's doing that. It's probably because he has a lot of prisoners, right? Yes, it's probably because he has a lot of prisoners and he wants to offload them or something along those lines. I don't know, but yes, whatever the case, I will be selling some stuff. Ooh, 69,000, 83,000. Oh yeah, give me that. Very nice indeed. All right, so yeah, I think what we're going to do is we'll say that the minimum that we should spend when persuading vassals is probably 250,000. Because as it stands right now, and this is the, well, I don't know whether to call it the grim reality or the brutal reality of things, but yeah, I mean, that's maybe a little bit too dramatic, potentially, but, well, whatever the case, the reality of the situation is that I can literally just go and speak to any vassal in the world, and as long as they are not a part of an army, I should be able to persuade them to join our faction with very minimal outlay. And I'm talking about, I could probably get most people to join us for an average of around 5,000 gold. And that's ludicrous. That is completely ridiculous in the amount of people that you can get to join you at that point. You know, you can just literally get entire clans to join you, and your combat strength for your faction is going to skyrocket almost instantaneously. And yeah, so obviously implementing some kind of some kind of rule upon ourselves is probably a good idea to try and prevent the absolute monopolization of other factions into our own. Because if you take a look at this, for example, okay, look at how many friends I have right now. So most of these are, new friends or friends that we've had for a while and that are already a part of our faction. But for example, if I wanted to persuade Mimir, for example, he is the owner of Varcheg, Mazadaan Castle, Balgard, and Nevyansk Castle. So if I were to persuade him, I would literally gain all of those fiefs in one fell swoop. You know what? I'm going to send a messenger to him, but because he has so many fiefs, and now here's the thing, I'm going to see how much we can get, okay? So, okay, here we go. Okay, yeah. I mean, I had a 1% chance, or technically a 5% chance to get a critical fail, so thankfully I did not get that. But I'm just going to do a test here. I want to see how much he actually wants. He wants 13,000 to join us, and he has a literal 2 towns and 2 castles in his name. And now in these cases, I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make it be dependent on how many fiefs or what kinds of fiefs they have. So for example, the base amount will always be 250,000. What do you think? I think 250,000 is a pretty decent amount to provide to someone that has, for example, just 1 castle and you just want to get the vassal over to your faction. I think that's a pretty decent cost. But what about in this guy's case? He has 2 castles and 2 towns. So in my opinion, what I think we should do is I think we should give him 600,000. Am I being silly? Possibly. But I'm going to give him a literal 600,000 to join us. And I'm doing that because he has 2 towns. So I'm going to say that each town costs 250,000, so that would make it 500,000. And then I'll say each castle costs 50,000, and then obviously, the various other costs that we have available, to him actually joining our faction, because that's a pretty significant territory increase. And generally, I actually don't even have that much more money. So I'm going to give him 600k, and there you go. That is that. And we have now gained these fiefs right here. Obviously, these are potentially not very defendable. So that is obviously another thing that we have to consider. It might very well be the case that Balgard, for example, will get taken super easily because it's really deep in enemy territory. We can't really do anything about that at the moment. So we'll see what happens with that. Your attacks ignore 25% of the enemy's armor or increase your two-handed weapon damage by 10%. I will be taking Blade Master, I think. There we go. And also tactics, let's take a look here. 25% more damage to defender siege engines, that's more of an engineer thing. And double damage to siege defender personnel with a 25% chance. Pick them off the walls. Pick them off the walls actually seems pretty fun, so I'm probably going to take that. Even though it's not really me. It's not me that is the engineer in that point, so it doesn't really make much sense for me to even, consider taking any of that. But anyway, Revel is available, but I'm actually going to go buy Revel right now. I'm not going to take that at the moment. Remtoil Castle is actually a Botanian fief, so I think it should go to the fellow that owns either Dunglanis or Sionen, and I'm not sure how close Remtor Castle is to any of these. Where is Remtor Castle? I think it's really close to Sionen. Am I right in thinking that? I think it's really close to Sionen, so I will give it to Luishan right now. And hopefully he'll take good care of it. Okay, yeah. So otherwise, I'm actually going to be heading on to Ustakol Castle. There's a reason why I want to take Ustakol Castle. Generally, I very much dislike leaving one fief over on the outskirts of a particular faction. So, for example, Turby Castle, let's not talk of it, because Turby Castle is all the way over there, And I would have loved to have taken that as well as Ostracan, but obviously the war exhaustion was starting to kick in, and it's basically impossible for me to do that if, you know, the war exhaustion is forced upon us or whatever. But yeah, point is, I very much would like to take this instead, because the vassals are going to be holding themselves up here, and they're going to launch attacks from here into Revel, because obviously now Varchek has been taken, or shall we say it has switched sides. Now it's going to be very difficult for them to do something like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to besiege this, and we're going to try out the the catapult strategy. So what we're going to do first, where is the battering ram? Oh, there. It was hidden in the trees. Of course it was. Okay, yeah, so we're just going to build all of that, and then we're going to build... Actually, you know what? Let's not do that first. Let's just build the battering ram first. Cancel this, cancel this. Okay, yeah, so we'll build the battering ram first, and then we'll build a bunch of catapults. And I would very much like to see how much damage we're capable of doing with the catapults, because you have said that the catapults are very effective against the defenders, and I think I have seen that in the past whenever I've just randomly made a catapult, or whenever we've had a catapult active in the siege at the time. So I'm actually looking forward to this quite a bit, because it does have some very cool spectacles as well, and I'm not talking about glasses here. I'm talking about, it is a sight to behold, shall we say. It is more a sight to behold than anything else. So let's see if I can now do this. Okay, so let's put these out here. There we are. And we're going to be leading the assault. So there are over 300 units in the garrison here. And I'm very much hoping that the catapults will be effective enough to be able to, well, hopefully do something to, to hopefully prevent our archers from being absolutely murdered. Hopefully that will be the case. I'm not seeing any enemies on the walls right now. This is kind of strange. Why are my forces... Oh, yeah, this is also something that you've got to bear in mind. There are different contingents of units, and they are consistently being told to do different things. And if you don't individually command them, they're going to run into the opponent and get themselves murdered very, very quickly. That's actually what was happening in some of the previous sieges that I did, and I didn't realize that they were all in different command groups. Because when they're in different command groups, obviously, you know, they're going to do their individual things. You know, they're auto-delegating, they're going to do whatever they think they should do to, you know, achieve victory the best possible way. But in many cases, that is really, really bad, because they're going to go up the ladders and probably get themselves killed as a result. So generally, yeah, that is pretty awful. So that's the reason why you should definitely look out for that if you're playing yourself and you're seeing your units run in randomly and die, and you think, well, wait a minute, I told them to hold position. Well, no, that's the thing. I just got killed by one of my own catapults. Friendly fire. Okay, that, you know, I gotta say that is actually hilarious. I'm not usually someone that gets annoyed when I die in this game, and personally, I think that's probably one of the funniest things that has happened recently. I mean, there's been a lot of funny stuff that has happened to me, you know, very, very much in the case of me dying in certain really, really weird, you know, really weird situations. But yeah, that was. Are you serious right now? I think I know why. I think I know why it crashes. By the way, now. All right, yeah, I think I know why it crashes. It crashes because I take control of one of my units. It seems to have a problem with RTS camera or something like that. All right, so we're back, and yeah, I have to travel all the way back over to Uthelaim Castle, unfortunately. But at least now we know that the potential for the crash is probably due to the RTS camera and probably due to me wanting to control one of my units. And it doesn't matter which unit it is. It could be from my little warband, it could be my, you know, Kulan, or any of my companions, or anything like that. And generally, I think it is due to me controlling someone, because whenever there's been a crash, I have always gone and controlled someone, and then the crash happens seconds later. So at least we have identified that that is possibly the case. As you can see, Urgion has not yet taken Remtor Castle, but there it is. It is actually right next to Sionon, which is perfect, because that's exactly who I gave it to, and I thought that that was where Remtor was, so that seems to be a good positioning. And we also have Aradwir taking Flintog Castle too. So if I can complete my objectives of taking Ustakol and Revel, then we will have a very nice consolidation of the enemy's territory. And then all we need to do is take Cranarog and Omor, but that shouldn't be too bad. And then the Sturgians are basically done. There's not much more they can do there, with the exception of obviously those two other towns in the north, but they should fall relatively quickly. But otherwise, this is what's currently going on in the world. And with that, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.